Yeah. So we saw how we can calculate density and rate of flow and speed using headway spacing. Yeah, headway and spacing. Today we are going to start with the discussion about the relationship between macroscopic parameters. The three macroscopic parameters we discussed: flow, speed, and density. So you can look at the equation here. This is the equation for the relationship between flow, speed, and density. Okay. So V means rate of flow, S is the speed, and D is the density. Now we have earlier said that macroscopic speed can be of two types, can be space mean speed or time mean speed. This one in this equation or in all the other equations related to flow and density or headway and spacing will be space mean speed. So the speed which we calculated using headways and spacing was also space mean speed, and this one which you see in this equation is also known as or is also the space mean speed. So space mean speed is more important as compared to time mean speed when it comes to the calculation of traffic parameters. Okay, so space mean speed we defined as the average speed of the vehicles which are occupying a section. Okay, so this is the speed of a vehicle of the vehicles in the whole section. So this is not the speed at a point. This is for the entire section or maybe the entire highway. Okay, so space is related to the entire section. Space means speed. The density is obviously it's vehicles per mile, so it cannot be for a point. It is again for the entire section. Okay, density is also a parameter which is defined for the entire section. So we have two parameters which are for the entire section. Okay, but what about flow? So for example, in your term project, I asked you to go and collect flow, 15 minutes count for the vehicle, it is flow. How do you collect it? You will stand at one point and you will count the number of vehicles which are passing you, right? So flow is by default collected for a point. So we are using two parameters which are related to a section and we are multiplying them to get a parameter which is observed at a point. So you can see the conflict here. Okay, so the parameters, the other two parameters are for the section and the third one is for a point. So the problem is how can I make this equation work? So there's a limitation to make this equation work. The limitation is that this equation can give you flow rate at any point on a uniform section. If your section is a uniform section, and I will just define what do we mean by a uniform section. So then you can use this equation to calculate rate of flow at any point. Okay. Now why I'm calling it rate of flow? Because when you multiply S with D, you will get the unit of the unit of V as vehicles per hour. Okay, so obviously it can either be rate of flow or it can be volume. It cannot be volume because this is not observed for 1 hour. Okay, you are calculating it. Okay, so this is not the actual number of vehicles which you observed for 1 hour. So I cannot call it volume. So only thing I can call it is rate of flow. Okay. Now, what is a uniform section? You can see here they have made a sketch here. So from between these two vertical lines, I have the uniform section. So S and D, S will be measured for using the travel time from this line to this line for all the vehicles. So it will be for the entire section, and D will be for the entire section as well. But flow rate can be observed at this point or this point or this point. Okay, so this arrow doesn't mean it's a specific point. It means any point on this section. So this equation can give you V on any point on this section. So what is the limitation I was talking about? The uniform section. So between these two vertical lines, to get the flow at any point, the section should be uniform. What do we mean by it? First of all, there should be no entry and exit to this section between these two vertical lines, because obviously if vehicles keep on entering and exiting, then flow cannot be constant at all the points, right? This is what we are saying, that in a uniform section the flow is constant at all the points. That's why I can use this equation to calculate the V. So V is constant in a uniform section at all the points. So if the vehicles are entering and exiting, how can the flow be constant, right? I don't have the same number of vehicles at all the points, then the flow cannot be constant. So uniform section means no entry and exit. Okay, no lane, no ramp, no intersection, going out or in or coming in. Secondly, the geometric characteristics of the section should remain the same. In a uniform section, the geometric characteristics should remain the same, meaning number of lanes, lane width, shoulder, median, so on and so forth. Okay, so if there are 2 lanes at the start of the section, till the end it should remain 2 lanes. If there is a shoulder, there should be a shoulder from start to end. If there is no median, then there should not be a median from start to end. Okay, so nothing changes from start to end. That's a uniform section. So if you have a uniform section, then you can use this equation to get the flow rate at any point on this section, because the flow is constant. Okay, flow is constant under stable conditions. What do we mean by stable conditions? When the flow is happening, when the vehicles are moving continuously. This is a stable flow condition. Okay, what is unstable flow condition? When you start having a queue. Okay, so remember I'm talking about the word queue, not the letter Q. Okay, although Q starts with Q, but I'm not talking about that queue. Okay, so the queue, the SUF, the traffic jam, congestion, right? So if you have congestion, traffic jam conditions, then flow even within the uniform section does not remain constant. In a traffic jam condition, in queue formation, in unstable conditions, the flow is different at all the points. Okay, so you can still apply this equation to unstable conditions, but in that case the V which you will get will be an average value for all the points. So all the points will not have the exact same value of flow rate, but they will have a value which is close to it. Okay, so for stable conditions on uniform section, you apply this equation, you get the exact value of flow rate at all the points, which is a constant. If you apply this equation in unstable conditions, meaning in traffic jam conditions, or they are calling it a queue formation condition, then in that case you will get a flow value which is considered as an average for all the points. Okay, so let us use this equation. So the equation which I showed you, a rate of flow equals speed and density, is known as a basic traffic flow equation. Basic traffic flow equation. Okay. So let us apply this equation. For example, you are measuring, you are doing some measurements on a freeway lane. Okay, so it's a high-speed road, and you are taking measurements on a specific lane. So for that lane, the space mean speed is 55 miles per hour, and density is 25 vehicles per mile per lane. So I have S and I have D. I want to calculate rate of flow. So rate of flow equals 55 into 25, speed and density, 1375 vehicles per hour per lane. Why per lane? Because the density is per lane, and it is given that the measurements are taken from one lane. So it's vehicles per hour per lane. Another example, we have space mean speed 60 miles per hour and the flow rate 1000 vehicles per hour per lane. Okay, and this is how it normally happens. I told you in the last lecture as well, density is difficult to measure. So normally we measure flow and speed. This is what they are doing in the second example. So flow speed is measured. Okay, so you have the S and you have the V. You want D. Okay, so if V equals S into D, then D equals V upon S. Okay, so 1000 upon 60 gives you 16.7 vehicles per mile per lane. Again, why per lane? Because the measurement is taken from a lane, and it is also showing in the units of flow rate as well, vehicles per hour per lane. Okay, so if the measurements are taken from a lane, then obviously everything is per lane. Okay. Now let us look at the relationship between different pairs of macroscopic parameters. Okay, so you can see 3 figures here. The first one on the left hand side, top one, is between flow and density. On the right hand side, top, flow and speed, and the bottom one is between speed and density. Okay, now let me explain you the trends which are shown in these figures. Starting with density and speed, because this is the easiest one, and I've already explained it in the previous lecture as well. When density increases, speed decreases. See, density increases, speed decreases. Why? Density meaning more vehicles on the road, less spacing. So less spacing, you will adopt a lower speed. Okay, so this is very easy. Coming to the flow and speed. Again, it's easier. When the flow is zero, almost zero, meaning no vehicles on the road, then you will go at maximum speed, right? So this is the maximum speed. So you can see when the flow is zero, why? Because the number of vehicles on the road are less. The density is close to zero. Okay, so the speed will be maximum. When more vehicles come on the road, so the flow will increase and the speed will decrease. So you can see flow increasing, speed decreasing until you reach the maximum point. This is a maximum point which we call as the capacity, maximum flow which you can have on this road. Maximum number of vehicles allowed to pass from this road, capacity. Okay. Now, if you reach capacity, and we did an example 2 days ago, where we reached the capacity of the system, and it was the example related to peak hour factor and flow rate, sub-hourly fluctuations, and we saw in that example, then when we reach the capacity of flow, after that, if you have more vehicles coming on the road, they will start forming a queue, a SUF on the road. They will start causing traffic jam. So this is the point of capacity. And if more vehicles come on the road, then the flow will not increase, it will decrease. Why? Because of the traffic jam. The additional everybody. Okay, earlier the number of vehicles were equal or less than the capacity, so they were moving. But now with the additional vehicles, additional meaning more than the capacity of the road, then these vehicles will start forming traffic jam. Okay, so after that point, after the capacity point, flow will also start to reduce. Obviously, with more vehicles, as we have seen here, more vehicles means more density, right? So as more vehicles keep coming on the street or coming on the road, the speed will further reduce. But now after capacity, the flow is also reducing. So from the maximum speed till this point, till the capacity point, the speed was reducing, flow was increasing. After capacity, both are reducing. Okay, so the maximum speed is known as free flow speed. Free flow speed, the speed which you attain when the density is almost zero, this point. Okay, the speed which you have when the flow reaches capacity is known as critical speed. Critical speed. Okay, the speed at the flow of capacity. Okay, now coming towards the final one between flow and density. Okay, so when density is zero, flow is zero. Density zero means what? No vehicles on the road. So no vehicles on the road means no movement, right? So density zero, flow is zero. Then density increases, flow increases. Okay, more vehicles are coming and they are moving. The flow will keep on increasing until you reach capacity, like we said earlier. Density increases more. That means more vehicles are now occupying the section. More vehicles are on the section. Then the flow will not be able to increase, or it will not be sustained. It will start reducing because again now you will have traffic jam. Okay, so the flow will start to reduce. Okay, so after capacity, increase in density will start reducing the flow. Okay, and the flow, still there will be some flow until you reach the jam density condition, the maximum density condition. So in maximum density condition, now there is no space to move. The section is completely packed. Okay, completely filled. So there is no space to move. So the flow becomes zero again. Okay, so you have seen in these two figures, the top ones, that the flow can be zero in two conditions. The flow can be zero at maximum speed. That means the density is zero. You can see it from this point, this point. So at this point the flow is zero, at this point the flow is zero. Okay, this point means what? The speed is maximum, density is zero, which is this one. Okay, or this one. Okay, and the flow can be zero at this point as well, when the density is maximum, jam density, and the speed is zero. So which is this point or this point. Okay, so the flow can be zero because there are no vehicles on the road, zero density, or the flow can be zero because the vehicles are completely jammed. Okay, which is the jam density. Okay, so the density which you achieve when the flow is capacity is known as critical density. Critical density. Okay, so when density is zero, you achieve maximum speed. I called it free flow speed. When density is maximum, I called it jam density. Okay, when the flow reaches maximum capacity, The density at that point is critical density, and the speed at that point is critical speed. Okay. Now in all these figures, you can see the curves are divided into two portions, the solid one and the dotted one. So in all the curves, you see a solid curve, part of the curve, and a dotted part of the curve in all of them. Okay. Now figures, you can see the solid one is before capacity and the dotted one is after capacity. Okay. So the solid one, which I called earlier as a stable flow condition before traffic jam, stable flow conditions, and the dotted one is the traffic jam condition. I call it traffic jam to help you understand it, but in the book they call it forced flow condition, or in the previous slide they call it the queue formation condition. So there's a queue and traffic jam on the road when you are in the dotted portion of the curve. Okay. If you want to see when did you reach capacity from the density and speed curve, then you plot the value of critical speed here and critical density here. So you will get the point when you reach the capacity. So obviously there in this third figure, there is no flow. So I don't know when did I reach the capacity. Okay, so if you want to see the point where we reach the capacity, plot the critical density on this curve and you will know the point of capacity. So you can see after this point I have the forced flow or the dotted region. Okay, so in the solid region, density is low and speed is high. See here, density low, speed high. In the dotted region, density high, speed low. Okay, so stable flow means high speed, low density. Forced flow means low speed, high density. Jam density is not zero. Jam density is maximum. See, it's not zero. At jam density, flow is zero. Okay, jam density is not zero. When density is zero, flow is zero, and speed is maximum. We call it free flow speed. Okay. Now I showed you the curve, the traditional curve between flow and speed. This one. Now for modern drivers, this curve is slightly changed. For modern drivers, the curve between flow and speed is slightly changed. This is the modern curve. This is a curve between flow and speed for the modern drivers. So first of all, you can see they have inverted the axis. So instead of having flow on the y-axis, they are putting flow on the x-axis and speed on the y-axis. Okay, and secondly, if you look at this curve, so it was a simple curve, gradually changing. But if you come for the curve for the modern drivers, you see a straight line, a curve, another straight line, then a curve. Okay, so it's not a smooth curve for the modern drivers. Why? Modern drivers are more aggressive. You guys are more aggressive than me. Okay, that's why you keep on sending me messages, on WhatsApp while I'm in the class. Okay, this is aggressiveness. So while you are aggressive in terms of your driving, because now we have high speed vehicles, road standards have changed, smoother roads, good quality vehicles, more higher safety standards. Okay, so you guys have become, or the modern drivers have become more aggressive. They tend to maintain higher speeds and higher flow rates for longer time. Okay, so you can see here, old drivers, whenever there was a increase in flow rate, you can see that traditional curve was the speed starts to reduce. So even if the flow is increasing by like 10 vehicles per hour or 20 vehicles per hour, you will see the change in speed. But modern drivers, they maintain high speeds even at higher value of flow rates. Okay, so you can see a straight line here. Okay, so when the flow is almost zero, your speed is maximum. When the density is almost zero, the flow is almost zero, the speed is maximum. So you have the free flow speed. Now this speed is maintained even though the flow is increasing. You can see here, they are calling it region 1. So what is happening in region 1? The flow is increasing, but the drivers keep on going at fast speed. Okay, so they keep on overtaking anybody who is coming in their way. They keep on changing lanes and so on. This is what we mean by aggressiveness. Okay, you are trying to find the spaces. Okay, So you are less patient, you can say that. Okay, so you maintain high speeds by finding the space wherever you can. Okay, this will happen up till a point which they call it the breakpoint flow point. Breakpoint flow. So until you reach the breakpoint flow, your speed is almost equal to the free flow speed, the speed which you attain when there are no cars on the road. Okay, so you maintain that speed to a very high value of flow. You can see how much is the difference from 0 to this point, very high, right? Point 1 is very far from 0. Then after point 1, you start to see the decrease in speed. So you can see the curve here up to point 2. Now what is point 2? Point 2 is capacity. Now, how much is the difference between breakpoint and capacity? Very low. So, modern drivers tend to maintain high speed until they are very close to the capacity of the road, because they can still see the spaces and they keep on changing the and overtaking and doing so on and so forth and driving so on and so forth to maintain their high speed. But there is a time when they reach close to the capacity, their spacing becomes very low, and then they start to reduce their speed up to point 2. Okay, then from point 2 to point 3, the flow is still maintained although the speed is reducing. So you can see the difference between point 2 and 3 in terms of flow is very low, right? How much is the difference between point 2 and 3? It's very small. But you see the difference in speed between point 2 and 3 on the y-axis, very high. So drivers between point 2 and 3, they have reached capacity. Now drivers are reducing in order to move safely. So between point 2 and 3, the flow is still very close to the capacity. Like I said, point 3 is still very close to point 2, which is the capacity. But the speed is now very low as compared to the speed before capacity. Okay, so between point 2 and 3, the speed is reducing very greatly, but the flow is still very close to the capacity. Okay, then point 3 is what you call as a queue discharge flow. After point 3, what they are calling at region 4, you will start to see the real traffic jam. Okay, so now the flow is getting stuck. Now the people are stopping. Okay, so between point 2 and 3, the flow was moving at a very slow speed, but it was still somewhat close to a smooth flow. But at point 3, it starts to reduce. Okay, so this is what happens with modern drivers because of their aggressiveness. They tend to maintain their high speeds and they tend to maintain a smooth flow for longer periods of time. Okay, and so on. Okay. Now, like I showed you, and we will use this curve when we are doing the highway capacity analysis. When you are doing the highway capacity analysis, we will use this curve for flow and speed of modern drivers. But for the remaining part of this chapter, we will assume the curves to be like this. Okay, or even simpler than this, because now we are doing some derivations. So whenever you start derivating something, you always start from the simplest case, and then you keep on adding and subtracting terms in the final equation to allow for the variations. Okay, but we always start from simplest case. So we will use these two curves, and for the speed density, I will even show you a simpler curve. I will show speed density. Will just assume as a straight line. Okay, and we are doing it so that we can drive some equations. Okay, and people have done people have done a lot of research on these curves, and they have found that the variation caused because of the modern drivers in these curves is minimal. So when you start the derivations from using the simple curves and lines, the equations are still very accurate. They may not be as accurate as they used to, but they are still very accurate and they are sufficient for the purpose of traffic analysis. Okay, so just keep in mind there are these curves which are given in your textbook. Go to chapter 5, you will see the variations in different curves. Okay, but when they come for derivations, they are taking these simple curves. Why? Because to make our life easier, so that we can generate some equations, and secondly, the variation is causing a very small difference in the actual situation. Okay, so the equations which we have seen earlier and the equations which we will drive now are part of traffic flow theory. Okay, so what is traffic flow theory? These are the set of models that define the relationship between traffic flow parameters, speed, flow, and density. Okay, now models, I don't mean the models which you see in the advertisements and the advertisement boards. I mean the mathematical models, mathematical equations. In our language we call them equations, right? So mathematical term, or the technical term is model. So there are models which are developed between speed, flow, and density, and from those models these curves have been plotted. So those models are the set of those models, a combination of those models is known as traffic flow theory. The idea of combining these models in different equations came from Bruce Greenshields in 1930s. So you can see how old this concept is, that flow, speed, and density are related to each other. When you change something, the other thing automatically changes. So it is coming from 1930s. Okay, so Bruce Greenshield said that speed and density follow a straight line equation. So you can see the straight line equation. Okay, so you can see the maximum speed here, which is free flow speed. You can see the maximum density here, which is the jam density, and between them we have a straight line. Okay, so when you reach jam density, speed is 0. When you reach free flow speed, the density is 0. Now Bruce Greenshield drive the equation for this straight line, and we already know what is the equation of a straight line, right? Y equals mx plus b, right? Y equals mx plus b. This is the equation of the straight line. What is y? For this curve, for this line, y is a speed. Okay, so this equation is for speed. What is x? What do I have on x-axis? Density. So instead of x, I will put density. What is m? The slope of this line. What is the slope? Slope is y upon x, right? So how much y I have? You see how much is this value? 65. Okay, and how much is the x value? You see how much is this value? 110. Between 100 and 120, 110. Okay, so jam density is 110, which is maximum density, and the free flow speed, which is the maximum speed, is 65. So the y value is 65, the x value is 110. So m will be 65 upon 110, and you can see the line is going downward. So m will be negative. So m will be minus 65 upon 110. Okay, then what is b? B is a y-intercept, maximum value of y, which is, again, I have told you, free flow speed 65. So b is 65. So for this line, which was drawn by Bruce Greenshield, speed equals minus 65 upon 110 into density plus 65, the y-intercept. Okay, now m has 65 and b is also 65. So the final equation, this is the final equation. Okay, so I have taken 65 as a common outside because b was 65 and then m was also 65 upon 110. Okay, so when you take 65 as a common outside, you will get this equation. So according to Bruce Greenshield, for this line, the equation is this. Okay, now you can draw your own line by taking the values of speed and density from the field, and in your case the y-intercept and the x maximum density may change. Okay, and I will show you an example after we finish this with a different y and x value. Okay, yeah, you have a question? Any question? Okay, some of you have their mics open. Okay, I don't want to mute you, then you will not be able to ask a question, but mute your mic if you don't want to ask any question. Okay, now I have already showed you this equation at the start of the lecture. Flow rate equals speed into density, and in the previous slide we derived the equation between speed and density using the line drawn by Bruce Greenshield. Okay, so I have the equation which is connecting flow with speed and density, and I have the equation between speed and density. Using these two equations, I can derive the equations between flow and density and between flow and speed. Okay, So let us start with driving the equation between flow and density. So I can replace S from here using V upon D from this equation. Okay, so if V equals S into D, then S equals V upon D. So instead of S, I can put V upon D. Then you take D on the other side, open the bracket, flow equals this. So this is the equation between flow and density. Okay, and you can see it's a second degree equation. This is the equation of a parabola. So if you plot it, you will see this shape of the curve. Okay, this is a parabola. Okay, and the equation is confirming that the curve should be a parabolic curve. Then again, using the first two equations, V equals to S and D, and the equation between S and D, I will calculate, or I will drive the equation between flow and speed now. So instead of D, you can replace the value of D from this equation. So D equals what? V upon S. So instead of having D here, you can put V upon S. Okay, and then again you open the bracket, take flow on one side, everything else on the other side. So this is the equation between flow and speed. Okay, and again you can see second degree equation, parabolic curve, and I already showed you the curve between flow and speed is again the same shape, parabolic. Okay, now let's say I want to find out the maximum flow capacity using those equations. Okay, you see when the flow reaches maximum, what is the slope of the curve? You see it's a horizontal line. So slope of the horizontal line is 0. Okay, so if you can find out the value of flow when the slope is 0, then you have the capacity, right? So how to find out the slope of this curve? Okay, so I need to find out the slope of this curve and then put it equal to 0, right? To find out the capacity or the density and speed at capacity. Okay, so I have the equation of the curve, and the slope is a derivative of. Whenever you have the equation of a curve, the slope of the curve is a derivative of that equation. Okay, so if you take the derivative of this equation, it will give you the slope of the curve between flow and density. If you take the derivative of this equation, it will give you the slope of the curve between flow and speed. Okay, so they have not done it, so we will do it. Okay, so take out your calculators. We'll be calculating the maximum flow here. Okay, so first of all, let me take the derivative of the first equation, which is between flow and density. Okay, so when you take the derivative of this equation, okay, you will get 65 2 into 0.5909 into density. Okay, so I taken the derivative, and I told you when you reach capacity, when you reach maximum flow, slope equals to 0. So I have the slope equation, I will put it equal to 0. Now give me the value of D here. When I put this equation as 0, what is the value of D, density? No. No. 55, yes, 55. 55 vehicles per mile per lane. Okay, as I said, keep the units in mind, it will help you a lot. So 55 vehicles per mile per lane, this is the capacity when the flow is maximum. This is the density when the flow is maximum. What did I call this density? Critical density. So this is D critical. Okay, how much was the jam density? 110. Critical density 55, jam density 110. Can you see the relationship between them? So jam density is equal to twice of critical density, right? Okay, jam density was 110 when I was driving the speed density equation. and now you have calculated the critical density to be 55, so which is a half of jam density. Okay, so critical density or the density at maximum flow will always be half of the jam density. Will always be half of the jam density. Okay, we already know it is 110. We already know jam density is 110. It was given in this curve. See, I'm just saying what is the relationship between jam density and critical density. So the relationship bit is this one. Jam density is always twice of critical density. Okay, so you calculated critical as 55 and the jam was 110. So this is how I am driving, or how I am saying jam density is twice of critical density. Okay, now let us find out critical speed. So I will take the derivative of this equation now. So when you take the derivative of dv ds, then you will get, so I'm taking the derivative of this equation. You will get 110 minus 2 multiplied by 1.6923 into s, and then since I'm at capacity, so at capacity slope equal to 0, so this is a slope after derivative and I put it equal to 0. So how much is s now? How much is s? $32.5. Okay, and this s, what did I call this? So when you reach maximum flow, the speed was called as critical speed. So the speed you have calculated, I can call it critical speed. Okay. Now in the Bruce Greenfield equation, how much was the free flow speed? This one, 65. Free flow speed was 65. Maximum speed was 65, and you calculated the critical speed to be 32.5. 65, 32.5. What is the relationship between them? Free flow speed equals twice of critical speed. Okay, so we have just proven this. Okay, that jam density is always twice of critical density, and free flow speed is always twice of critical speed. Okay, so critical speed is the speed at capacity when the flow is maximum, and critical density is the density at capacity when the flow is maximum. Okay, and I have the basic traffic flow equation here. So you have critical speed, you have critical density. When you put them in this equation, you will get maximum flow rate. Okay, because critical speed and critical density was the speed and density at maximum flow rate. So now I will put critical speed and critical density in this equation, and I will calculate the maximum flow rate, the capacity. So give me the capacity now. Capacity will be 32.5, the critical speed, into 55, which is the critical density. So how much is the capacity here? Really? Sure? Yeah, 1788. Yes, 1788. Yeah, so this is correct. So the maximum flow on this highway, which has a free flow speed of 65 kilometers per hour or miles per hour, the maximum flow you can have is 1787.5 or 1788 vehicles per hour per lane. Okay, vehicles per hour per lane. Okay, so again, keep the units in mind. Okay, so this whole calculation was using this curve, right? Speed flow curve, and using using this equation, right? This was our first equation. Okay, let me show you an example. Okay, now so you can see in this example there are different coefficients in the speed density equation. So it's still the same curve, still the same line, but these numbers on the x-axis and y-axis have changed. So the maximum speed is not 65 and the maximum density is not 110. Okay, so we have a new line for any other road or any other highway, and using that we have plotted this curve and they have made this equation. Okay, and now they are saying calculate everything using this equation. Okay, so I will explain part A for you now, because we did not do part A, something anything related to part A now. So I will explain you part A, how to solve part A. Part B and C means just follow this procedure what I just did. Starting from here, you follow the same procedure to solve part B and C. So I will just explain part A for you. Okay. For part B and part C, start from here. Okay, but this, instead of using this equation s equals 65 into the bracket, you will use the given equation. Everything else will remain the same. Okay, so this equation is already there, but instead of this equation of s and d, you use this equation of s and d to solve part B and C. Okay, so you will repeat the whole process: derivation, taking slope, putting it equals to 0, finding out critical speed, critical density, and then speed and density to find out the capacity. Okay. In part A, they are saying find out free flow speed and jam density. Now, when you have free flow speed, how much is the density? This is free flow speed, right? So at this point, how much is the density? 0. Okay. And when you are at this point is jam density. So at this point, how much is the speed? 0. Okay. So to find out free flow speed, put d as 0, you will get free flow speed. And when you put d as 0, you will get free flow speed as 71.2 miles per hour. Okay. To find out jam density, put speed as 0. So when you put s as 0, you will get jam density. And for this equation, jam density will be 122 vehicles per mile per lane. Okay. So if somebody gives you the equation between s and d and asks you for free flow speed, put d as 0, you will get free flow speed. If they ask you for jam density, put s as 0, you will get jam density. Okay. And then, as I said, for part B and C, you can continue like I did for the example which we just did. Okay. So on Thursday we will have a tutorial session, because we have completed the numericals from chapter 5. So we will have a tutorial session like we did earlier. I will break you into groups. So be ready with your pen, paper, calculators, and everything. Okay. So I will start by making you into groups, breaking you into groups, and we'll start solving some examples. If you want, I can start with the example related to this topic. Okay. Any questions? Any questions?
Doctor, can you repeat part A?
Part A, they gave me the equation between speed and density. Then they asked me what is the maximum speed, free flow speed, and what is the maximum density, which is jam density. So from the line between speed and density, I know that at maximum speed, density is 0. And at maximum density, speed is 0. So in this equation, when I put speed as 0, I get maximum density, which is jam density. So put s as 0, you will get jam density. And in this equation, when you put d as 0, you will get maximum speed, which is the free flow speed. Okay. So to get the maximum values, you put the other parameter as 0. So free flow speed and jam density are basically the maximum values of speed and density. Okay. Any other question? Okay, Dua Rabi. Dua Rabi. Amna Muhammad. Amna Muhammad. Okay. Muhammad Usama. Okay. Amal is here. Muhammad Noman. Muhammad Noman. If I mark your attendance, you can leave. If I mark your attendance, you can leave. Okay, Ali Muhammad is here. Zahra Sayyid Ali. Zahra Sayyid Ali. Zahra Sayyid Ali. Abdullah Jaliluddin. Abdullah Jaliluddin. Okay. Abdurrahman Ibrahim. Okay. Nujood is here. Nadeen Hussam. Okay. Zahra Riyad. Okay. Abu Bakr is here. Zainab Ali Ahmad. Okay. Majd Bashar. Asil Hassan. Ali Mustafa. Okay. Hamad Khalid. Okay. Abdullah Husamuddin. Latifa Ahmad. Fatma Abdali. Zainab Abdali. Okay, Zainab Abdullah is here. Ala Salman. Zainab Abdali is here. Okay, fine. Salman. Abdali is here. Ali Abdul Razak. Okay. Elizabeth Ann. Okay. Ali Makki is here. Ibrahim Muhammad is here. Okay. Abdullah Husamuddin. Yes, Huda, just wait. Abdullah Husamuddin. Yeah, Ibrahim done. Abdullah Husamuddin is not here. Majd Bashar. Zahra Sayyid Ali. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to section 1. Sara Abdul Amir. I'm calling from section 1 now. Sara Abdul Amir. Khawla Fauzi. Reem Abdul Hamid. Yeah, sir, I know. I marked you. Huda Hassan is here. Okay, anyone else from any of the sections? Okay, I'll see you on Thursday. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.